Hello, good afternoon, YouTube. I'm going to talk about the Dame and Dash interview, and I'm going to compare that to Kanye West and JayZ's interview. Okay, Dame and Dash talks about how you're not a man unless you don't have a boss. That your boss is daddy. Well, everybody can't be a CEO. I get his message that you should be, that you should have your own business and everything, and that you shouldn't look at being just an employee. But some people are happy in their jobs. I think that the person decides to make that decision on their own. If you're happy in your job, you should stay there. If you're not, then go on by all means, open your own business. But work your regular job, save up, and build up your business or your franchise first, then leave that job. That's what he's leaving out. Another thing he says is he should sell drugs. He didn't come out and say it, he kept calling it work. But even when you sell drugs, you still have a boss. You're still getting these drugs from somewhere. And if you lose those drugs or you don't sell them, you either get your legs broken or you get killed. So in a way, you still have a boss. So what is he talking about that he never had a boss and he just made it? No. Somewhere, shape, or form, you got that money from somewhere. Now, real reason is he can't have a boss because he is too bold. There's nothing wrong with being that way, but everybody has to serve somebody and start somewhere. You can't just give people this illusion that you came out the womb and you just were successful. No. Another thing I didn't like about the interview is that he kind of insults people instead of educating them. He still talks down on them, and that's not the way to be. That's kind of why he lost his money back in the day. Okay, another thing, he lost his money because he was buying underwear and socks instead of washing them. Okay, you can't do things like that or be that full of yourself and still be on top. I'm glad that he came back. I noticed on Celebrity Net Worth that he's worth $2 million, but he wouldn't have went through all that if he made better financial decisions. Everybody makes financial mistakes, but you can't get up there bragging and not being humble. I noticed a lot of that between him and Kanye. Both of them have a problem being humble. That's a lot of their issues. That's a lot of why they have problems with their businesses and getting along with folks. Having said that, I'm going to move on to Kanye. Now, Kanye kept talking about being marginalized. Marginalized is defined as treating a person or group as insignificant. Well, yes, blacks are treated as second-class citizens, but Kanye had a lot of good points, but if he wasn't so busy bragging and ranting, he could have educated a lot of people and helped a lot of people. You can't insult Nike and Louis Vuitton and all these companies you're trying to work with and throw tantrums and think they're going to be nice to you and let you have your way. If they're not letting you have your way, you can't piss them off by getting on a radio show talking crap. I don't know what part of that he thinks is professional. I'm lost with that one. Then I noticed when Charlamagne the God tried to bring him back to himself and say, look, you don't need money to be successful. He talking about you need money to be powerful. Well, yeah, but what Charlamagne the God was trying to say is your arrogance and your attitude is what's holding you back. Then he's talking about he has visionary streams of consciousness. Okay, you shouldn't say everything that comes to your mind. Okay, you might feel that way, but you need to keep that to yourself. I'm glad that he had sense enough to realize he was arrogant and that he had a problem being rude to people, and that's why he didn't go with Dame Dash. That was the smartest thing that man said all day. I think him and Dame Dash are right telling people to be entrepreneurs, but if they weren't so full of themselves and they pulled themselves out the equation, these interviews would flow better. They wouldn't be so like, what is this guy talking about? And well, I see some of his points, but he's talking about all this other BS that makes no sense. So I do see their point where they're coming from there, or why they're having so many problems and why people are complaining so much about these interviews. I'm glad that he recognized that JayZ could have taught him how to be likable and more professional. That's another smart thing he said. I don't agree with the not listening to old people. I see where he was going with that too. Some old people are rude. Some old people are just as dumb as they were when they were 18. So I do see his point there. But if an old person is coming off being wise, then you should listen to him. I think you should just be discerning. If an old person is on a street corner drunk or high, then of course you don't listen to them. They can't get you where you want to go. And he in essence said that if you don't sign my check, I can't listen to you. Which I sort of get what he's saying, but I think Charlamagne or whoever said it on the interview was right, talking about, look, wisdom has nothing to do with money. they're absolutely right. You can have wisdom and street smarts and be broke. But I do see Kanye's point. It's like, okay, if you're so smart, why are you broke? I see his point that at a certain point, a certain age, you're supposed to be successful. You might not have millions, but you're supposed to be comfortable. You're supposed to be able to have money in the bank. Supposed to live a life of comfort. Um, I do see his point of, well, when he wants somebody to listen to him, he put money in their pocket and feed them. I see his point. You should give somebody, you should kind of satisfy a need, then try to educate them. I did see where he was going there. Now, now, Charlamagne was right telling him to stop equating money with freedom. He's absolutely right. And he had another point of talking about how the visionaries didn't need money to change the world. He made a lot of valid points there. And then Charlamagne was also right telling him, look, no one's around to check you or put you in your place or bring you down to earth. You got too many yes men around you. He didn't put it that nicely, but I saw exactly where he was coming from. And I completely agree with him. I see his point there. He's absolutely right. And then Kanye goes, God shake me. And then Charlamagne goes, God told you to come at the president. I'm with Charlamagne on that. He had a lot of valid points with Kanye. Kanye was talking real crazy. I mean, you shouldn't. And then he knows how hard it is to be successful when you're a black man in America. So I don't understand why you're coming at another black man. Okay, that's a huge problem in the black community. Blacks are so busy being on some crabs in a bucket crap when they shouldn't. Black people have to learn that you got to come up together. You can't see a black person being successful and then instantly hate on them and try to find something negative about them. I hate to bring this up, but white people usually don't do that. White people usually, if they're messed up, they won't come out and talk about another white person. Like when George Bush was in office and he was being dumb and making all these crazy mistakes, his team or the Republicans never fessed up to him being a little dumb and him not being a good president. Okay, when Heath Ledger had that overdose, they tried like hell not to say that he had an overdose. They tried to cover that up. But black folks, ooh, he a drug, ooh this, ooh that, when it's their own, they seem to air their dirty laundry way too much. They need to, I hate to say it, take a note from white folks and kind of keep that in the house. Stop putting all your dirty laundry out when these white people don't do it. Um, Now, Kanye did say something that made perfect sense. He was right about changing your job every 10 years. If you're at the same job, you should be promoted. If you're not, you need to go elsewhere and see if somebody else will give you the promotion. But don't quit until you have that other job. Now, that I agree with. And I was completely with Charlamagne talking about genius doesn't have to announce it. Well, I totally agree because Kanye's doing all this bragging. It's like, sweetie, if you really are the hot boo boo, why do you have to tell people? Naomi Campbell or a supermodel, anyone who's beautiful, don't have to walk into the room and say, hey guys, look at me, I'm beautiful. You know it. I totally agree with a lot of things that came out of Charlamagne's mouth. Now, he shocked me when he said he was a Christian. Okay, all up and through the Bible it talks about being humble. Okay, how are you a Christian but you're not humble? You should say you believe in God and have a relationship. You shouldn't come out and say you're a Christian when there is nothing Christian about you. And I like Kim Kardashian, but there's nothing Christian about that woman. Okay, I wouldn't have my mouth when I'm talking about I'm a Christian, but I'm married to someone who made a sex tape back in the day. Really, someone who loves to pose nude. Dude, you have to have several seats. He's right about the seven black billionaires issue. It should be more black billionaires, and it should be more prosperous blacks. Blacks should have a choice of whether they work with whites or blacks. They should have their own communities built up. Our communities shouldn't be in shambles. He's absolutely right about that. Now, he went to Sway in the morning interview. Now, he screams and hollers at Sway talking about you don't have all the answers when it came to Kanye's not getting what he wants from Nike and Louis Vuitton. Then he contradicts himself and says, oh, I never boycotted Nike. But when you was on the Breakfast Club, you said that Louis Vuitton should work with you because you can tell black folks to stop buying their stuff, and you did that on there. So how are you going to then contradict yourself and then talking about, oh, I never said that. Dude, you just made it, you just said on the interview, on the other interview. No, and then Sway had to threaten to whoop his behind to get him to stop screaming at him. That was uncalled for. I'm glad that he finally came back to himself. Okay, now JayZ. JayZ did everything you were supposed to do in the interview. When they asked him about his wife not really having a kid, when they asked him why he didn't work with this one and that one, He calmly answered their questions, didn't get mad. And what I really liked is he never came for anybody's neck. He never disrespected anybody he didn't like. He just said, well, I couldn't get along with Timberland. At time there was too many personality clashes, so we didn't work together. He said Kanye was his successor and that, and he never put down anybody that worked up under him. Now that's the way you do business. You don't put down the folks that work up under you or you're trying to work with, which was Kanye's mistake. Then I noticed he was way more humble than Dame and Kanye. I don't know. I don't know why them two don't pick up on it at all. That's what I liked about his um his interview. He never once bragged about himself. I like that he brags about himself on the album, he sell albums, but he doesn't do that in interviews. I think that's refreshing. Um, and I like that he didn't take Lil Wayne from Birdman out of respect for Birdman. And then I like that he told everybody, look, just because you do music don't mean you have to do music till you die. You can be more than a one-trick pony. That's how you make your money. Because I think T.G. Jakes was talking about how you're supposed to have more than one string of income. Because everybody know that when you got that one job and you lose it, you're crap out of luck. So I see their point there. I'm glad he made that point. I like that he doesn't insult people. He just tell you, here's how you do this, that, and the other. He never once talks down to folks and talks about treating everybody equally. He was talking about how he didn't rush and pick up the phone when Robert De Niro calls or when Jada Kiss calls. He treated everybody equally regardless of their station in life. I love that about him. I like how he stayed calm instead of getting mad when they was coming at him with crazy questions. I think he was the one with the most class and the most good sense. Okay, see y'all later.